Boobs.
Boobs. Has the boobs. Hello and welcome to the Quackcast. This is Quackcast number 638. I'm Ozone Ocean, and today we're talking about rookie mistakes. My rookie mistake here was that I forgot to introduce Baines and Tanserine. So, yeah, get in your cop car.
Speaking of rookie mistakes, dude, as we had the silence before you started recording, I was on mute. I didn't realize it.
Oh, the old Quackcast. Yeah, like eternal rookie mistake. The
Yes.
mute.
The forever rookie.
We can all make that mistake. Okay, well, let's get into it. So first up, we have the Quackcast telling us about the feature comic this week, which was Plusum. So Kawaii, tell us about Plusum.
Hello, this is Quackcast, and the feature I've selected for this week is Plusum by MTDG, and it is rated M for mature. Eliana is a professional customer care representative by day, but as soon as night falls, the dark blonde wig comes off and the true pink-haired alter ego, BANF, is ready to create with a spray can in hand. XOXO, a famous street artist with red and blue split hair and hearts for eyes, has been lurking in the shadows, curiously observing Eliana from a distance. Between navigating through a tumultuous personal life, an invitation to tag walls with XOXO's spray crew, and endless streamings of paranormal channels, the upcoming weekend is about to plan itself. The rich neon jewel tones used make up a vibrant color palette, full-sized pages, clean and impeccable use of digital color. Make Friday plans with that cool guy Ryan and read Plusum by MTDG, rated M.
That was Quackcast telling us about Plusum. Okay, so next up we're going to talk about the featured music. Gunwallace has given us a theme to a comic called Mirage. And I would describe this as light dances around the sparkling surface of a smoothly curved, shiny object. Our view shifts and we dive through its hollow center, observing the complex geometry of this unusual three-dimensional object, overlaying synthesized sounds. That's basically how this music is made. So take it, Gunwallace. Please take us away with Mirage. And that was Gunwallace with his theme to Mirage, a comic by Inky Moondrop. So
Yay.
give Inky Moondrop a little bit of a visit. It's a comic rated E, which means it's for everybody. Okay, so rookie mistakes, guys. We've all made them because we were all rookies at one stage or another.
Mhm.
So what were our... I think my biggest rookie mistakes I made, nice and obvious, were not updating on one particular day. So that's a thing that if you want to do a regular comic and you are doing it like every day or every week or whatever, like for me it was weekly, you should always do it on the same day. You shouldn't like just do it on random day of the week. So that's a rookie mistake, thinking you could do it like on any time, or thinking that Wednesdays are a really good day, so that's the day. Like it doesn't matter what day you're going to do it as long as you do it regularly. So it could just be any time, any day, as long as you stick to it. So that was one. Another big rookie mistake was too many panels. So this is one, not all rookies, but like comic rookies throughout the comic sphere. So you could be like a person who does like print comics back in the 1960s. You know, people have always done this kind of era. So if you're not used to making comics, you think, oh, I want to pack a story into this page. And I want to put like 13, 14, 15 panels on a page. Unless you're doing the new style of like scrolling pages, that's a bad idea, because the more panels you have, the smaller they have to be, the less you can fit into that, the harder it is to draw, the more like speech bubbles you have to put in, and the text is really tiny, so it's just hard.
It also it takes a long time to make. I made that mistake in like the first chapter, at least, of Without Moonlight had a gazillion frames, and they were exhausting to make. I could have easily made 2 pages or 3 pages of that one page, and I would have had a lot more capacity to let the art show and let the art be more central to the page itself. And yeah, so that was a thing that I thankfully stopped doing somewhere towards the end of chapter 2, I think. Around I want to say. I am not sure.
Yeah, I've done similar, and it was there early on, and it's come back. But for me, it's more like too much text. I would stretch out the page, do a double long or a triple long page, and cramming everything in. My like Act 3s, I found especially. I was trying to cram in all this exposition and explanation, and way too wordy, probably exhausting to read. Yeah, so it's tough. You want to get everything in, or I'll speak for myself. I want to get everything in there, like, so hopefully the emotion will pay off in the end, but I haven't layered everything in throughout the story. There's all this missing stuff. Like, oh, I got to set up all this stuff, get everything in there. I want to get in there.
Yeah. That's a common thing, like trying to put all your story in as fast as possible, and make stuff wordy, put in exposition and stuff like this, or thinking, oh no, I'll just write it out, do the old Star Wars text scroll.
Well, that's the big one we talked about before. Yes.
Oh yeah, it's a huge rookie.
Oh, here's a common mistake in writing and conceiving of a story. I don't think I've fallen into this myself. I don't see it a whole lot either, but once in a while.
It used to
having
be
every idea, putting it into your story. Like, I know people who are trying to come up with stories, and they have all these ideas, and it's ever expanding. And after a while, it's like, man, you have too many ideas. It's like, how is this ever going to be a coherent story? It's like, this should be like 4 different stories.
Yes, yeah, you got to prune stuff down to just the essentials.
Yeah, tough to do. It's an easy, yet another easy trap to fall into.
Yeah, and there is a balance between plot development and characterization, because if you have too much plot, your characters will not have room to breathe, so they will not be distinct enough, and people are likely not going to be interested in them as much. And that is another thing that I made a mistake in the beginning of Without Moonlight, especially. I mean, Wolf, I don't know if I want to count it as a comic.
You should, definitely.
Oh, thank you. I don't know. I feel I have a fond embarrassment of Wolf, honestly.
A fond embarrassment.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, going forward, I wanted to push forward and show so many things at the same time in comic form in ways that would work in a novel, but not as much in comic form. And as a result, although my characters were fleshed out, I knew who they were and what they did. They had no real chance to show this in comic, and that suffered. Like they suffered for it. So when I just told myself, you know what, it's not going to be 4 chapters. It's going probably to be double that, and it was that. Just relax and let them breathe in the story. And that's when people started remembering their names, which is, I think, indicative.
Nice.
They were not like the curly guy or the tall guy or they were Fotis and Basil and Martha and everyone else. So I think that was indicative. Like, okay, now they start to remember them as people and care.
Yeah, they're actually caring about them. Wow.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
Well, I have another rookie mistake that's a lot more basic than that. It's filler pages, or like oh, I'm sorry, the next page isn't ready yet, and putting up those pages like that. That's a rookie mistake.
Yeah, I did that in Wolf.
Oh, no
I've
one
done
really
that
cares.
Too, yeah.
No one really cares. If you can't put up a page on the right time, then we don't need to see you spending time you should have made making a comic page coming up with the I'm sorry I'm late page.
Yeah.
If you really want to do something, come up with like a little story. Don't just come up with an excuse page. Actually,
it's tough when you're stuck and you're worried about losing readers. I guess that's where it came from. Yeah, I used to do that. I'd have one of my characters talking to the reader, saying, "Don't leave." Sorry.
Oh, that's so cute. I mean, why would we leave? We won't. But what I found worked a little better for a filler page is if you show a bit of behind the scenes / snapshot of the page that is coming. So what I would do again, that I did in the first stages of Without Moonlight, but what I did was I showed the panel of the next page as a preview that it is happening.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And I said, okay, guys, I'm not yet ready, but it's coming. And this is a panel. And I made sure that it was like a salient, like a bit of interesting, quote unquote, panel to show.
Yeah, I've done that. I used to show like sketch versions of a page and say, this is the early version, and the later one's coming. It's going to replace this.
Okay. Yeah. Keep a schedule.
But I have found that even if you don't really upload when it is time and you just say nothing and you upload next time that it would be normal time, it's okay.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. Your readers will come back, as long as you don't leave it forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually people will drift away. Yeah, but
Yeah, because no one's going to bother checking.
yeah,
Like, sticking to a schedule is a great idea,
Mm-hmm.
but if you can't stick to it, at least come back and stick to it next time.
Mm-hmm.
Don't break your ass trying to stick to something when you can't.
Yeah. But still getting into a routine, I mean, compare the first half, and I'm pretty much through the first half, like the first 4 chapters, even 5 chapters, I updated when I could. So an update could be late a month, 2 months, 3 months, half a year sometimes, depending, because I also was going through a lot of hardship at the time. Um, and I didn't lose really any readers, I have to say. Or at least I got new ones and it didn't feel like I'd lost many people. Anyway, I don't know. But the second half, I decided, you know what, I'm going to be regular and treat this as a job, almost like a task that I have to do. And I updated every second Monday. And that felt like, for me at least, it was comforting. But also, I felt that the same people came back regularly. Like they didn't come back at random. And
Yeah.
eventually, I amassed
yes,
some comments. They were all back on Monday to check.
right.
Yeah.
Became part of the became a habit for them and a routine.
Exactly. And habits are really strong. They are, if it is their habit to check, they will check. They will keep doing it until you are done, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, so rely on your readers. Don't baby them. Well, okay. So another rookie mistake I was just thinking of is lettering.
Ah,
People pick the wrong fonts. People pick Comic Sans. It's a common error for first timers. But there are so many. Okay, so Comic Sans is just one. Times New Roman. Oh my god, that's much worse than Comic Sans in comic. Times New Roman. So okay, so you got to get down to Blambot. Got to pick Anima Ace, which is it's a good starter font for a comic writer. It's not the best one, but it's a good starter, and there are lots of others to choose from. But
I think the big thing, the big issue is it has to be easy to read and not, letters shouldn't be smoothed together or easily. If the lines of the text should be not smoothed together, or top letters tangle up with the lower line letters and stuff like that.
the bottom is G's, the top of B's,
Yeah,
and D's,
the
and
L's
stuff.
and stuff. And it should also fit the comic, because you might have a perfectly, like Times New Roman, you could have a perfectly legible font, but it does not fit the comic at all. Like the style of the comic, or the general impression that it should make. Yeah, I struggled a lot with that. That was, oh my god, that was.
It's hard with its fonts and text. It's very, very hard to get the right one to fit your theme. That's why I say pick Anime Ace. I think mine's called Digital something or other. I can't remember what it's called, because it looks like traditional comic style font. You could use Times New Roman, and it could work for your comic. It's just that generally it doesn't. Generally, it looks like something you just made in Word or Paint, and it looks crap.
Yeah.
I was using for the first 18 months of mine. I was using Wingdings.
And it was the best ever, Baines. You shouldn't have changed out of that. I've always said that.
That's what everyone said. Yeah, once we could understand what you were writing, it was horrible.
That's the golden age of Baines comics.
Yeah, I mean, for example, in Brave Resistance, I'm using the typewriter one. Oh my god.
Courier? No.
It starts with a C. Yeah, Courier. Yeah,
Courier.
you said
Yes,
it.
Courier. Thank you. And it works because it feels very like a military, old-timey font that fits with Brave Resistance. It didn't fit without Moonlight for some reason. I don't know why. It just didn't work.
Okay.
Yeah. So I use Segoe print for without
Oh,
Moonlight.
Okay.
that's a good one. For Bottomless Waitress, I went to hand lettering for good
Yeah.
or worse. It's just because I like doing it. It's easier to do, and I'm getting better at it when I do it, and it just feels more organic and natural that way.
Yeah, for Wolf, I would do this, and in the beginning, I was terrible at it, and people said I cannot read it. But then I stuck to it, and I sort of forced my hand to be a little bit more even, and uh, yeah, and also I used all caps, which helped. So
Oh yeah, all caps does work. One of the things, like your advice to doing comics is for speech bubbles, is to do it all centered and all caps, all centered, and your speech bubbles to be sort of surrounding this centered font. But personally, I don't think that should be a rule for everyone because I've never liked doing it. I've tried doing it and it doesn't feel right to me. So I do like squared speech bubbles. They're not totally square, they've got rounded edges, and my writing is always left justified. And I just like doing it that way. I like the look of it. As a graphic designer, that sort of fits my design sensibilities better, and that's how I do my stuff.
yeah. I don't know about my bubbles in the sense that I like my bubbles are polygons, and they are they are basically very angled. They have a lot of angles, and they very rarely do I have a rounded bubble, and that is always a very special effect for different impressions of how someone speaks. In normal bubbles in Without Moonlight are angled. I have not angled. They have a lot of angles. They are like polygonal. Let's say.
Faceted diamonds of
Yeah.
jeweled space.
Personally, I really like it because it is a harsh time, and everything is harsh. So are the bubbles. But I remember there were a lot of people, at least in the beginning, and then I stopped getting that complaint for some reason. Either they said it is what it is and stopped telling me anything, or it grew on them. I don't know. But in the beginning, they were telling me like, why don't you do the bubbles, classic bubbles, like
Oh,
rounded?
really? Oh, I'm
Yeah,
surprised people were saying that. Yeah.
yeah. And I said like, I don't like them that way.
Yeah, nor do I. Just don't like it. How do you do your bubbles, Baines?
Mine are, well, they're oftentimes they're circles and they're center justified. Sometimes they'll be left justified, which I like. And I very often think about switching to more squared off bubbles.
Mm.
They fit into panels better. Like panels are square and it seems like they would take up less space. But I don't know. I always wonder if it would be too square looking. I don't know. I just once in a while I'll do it, but or I wonder if it'll look too much like narration. I guess I'm so used to the circular bubble look from reading.
Yeah,
You go with what you're comfortable with,
yeah.
Yeah,
what fits your work better.
I'm
Like
open to
Tim,
changing it, which I think is another good thing to do. And a non like a rookie good move is to be open to changing things and not feeling like
Yeah.
it has to be this way forever.
Another thing that I didn't do in the beginning, and I 99% of the time adhered to later on in the bubbles was to not allow the bubbles to spill beyond the frame. So the bubble had to be within the frame and
Yeah,
not to
that is
float over it,
yeah.
unless there was a very specific reason why it floats over it.
Funny, on the newest pages I just did, on at least one of them, they spilled, and I know that is sort of a rule for prose in comics. Like, don't cut off your bubbles. which is an odd turn of phrase, I guess. I just can't. Don't cut off your bubbles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just did it sort of with the circular bubbles. It's like I often run out of. I want to see the person's face. I want to see their body language on the character. I want to see everything. So yeah, it can be a little bit tough. So I cut off the speech bubbles multiple places on my newest pages, but
Mhm.
I normally don't like to either.
Yeah, I feel like I don't mind cutting off the bubble. I just like them to be within the frame. And if I need to squeeze it in the top in the top left or right edge or whatever, they sort of take the form of the frame instead of spilling over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it compresses them from that side. That's a good idea. I don't know, I spill over if it's the same character talking just from a different angle, then I'll spill it over.
Yeah.
Or at least connect it.
Mm-hmm. Same.
So, yeah.
Or
That's a
if
good
it is
technique.
someone, or if it is something that is overheard across many panels, because someone's ranting or whatever, and everyone else is listening to it, then it will spill over to the other panels as well.
Yeah. And it'll
Yeah.
look like background noise, or it'll give the
Mm.
effect of what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like. By the
That's
way,
pretty
this is
cool.
off topic, but I like I like your character speaking off screen. The way you cut in the tail. I often think, I'm going to copy that, but I've sort of started all my comics with a different approach to that, so I kind of stick with it. But I really like
Yeah.
that. It's very,
Oh, thank you.
very neat.
I don't remember where I saw it, but I'm positive I saw it somewhere, and I liked it, and I did it ever since. And I usually try to align the cutting in towards where the general direction of whoever is off panel, like where they are more or less, a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
Not too much, but in general, like they are that way or this way off panel.
I don't remember ever seeing
direction.
it before, but it's very clear. Like as soon as I saw it in your comic, I knew what it was,
Oh,
just instinctively. So it definitely works.
I'm glad. It makes me happy.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I've done it a few times, I think, from memory.
Okay.
You just have the speech bubble pointing to where the other person should be.
Yeah.
Mm.
Usually I like to indicate that beforehand, that there was this character there physically, so people know where it is, and then in other later panels, then, so that's the way to do it. But it is tricky because you're always worried that people aren't going to understand who's speaking, where that's coming from.
Now that you mentioned that, I remember another thing, a big bane of mine. Bubble order and how it's going to be read.
Oh, yeah, it's hard.
Especially if you have like this big panel and there is a dialogue happening. So you have like 4 bubbles that have to be read in a certain way. And in the beginning, it was all over the place, and I was desperate enough, I never did it, but I was tempted to just number the bubbles, like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
This is how you read it.
They used to do that in Asterix sometimes, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember that in Asterix. Anyway.
Not commonly.
Maybe, I don't know. But in general, the general rule of thumb is that whatever is more to the left gets read first, and whatever is higher and more to the left also gets read first.
Yeah.
This starts being political. She's talking about communism here.
Exactly.
To the left, it gets read first.
We don't say the
messages.
silent part aloud, though.
You damn comics.
It's everywhere. It's even buried in our comics.
Yeah.
But yeah, that gets tough when it's sort of, do you move from left to right or top to bottom first when you have a sort of cluttered
Yeah,
panel?
but generally, I mean, the way the eye flow, the like natural instinct of the eye, assuming you have a comic that reads left to right, is top left, bottom left, and then moving that in a zigzag way. And the trick would be to place the bubbles in a way that tours the entire panel, so that as you read the bubbles, you also see the art the way
Yeah.
that you want it to be seen. So that it is a little tricky, but if you keep that rule in mind, it's a little easier. And that's like I found out later in the comic.
I definitely see that in your comics too. Like you follow the text with the art, and I'm not surprised to hear you say this because it's very well kind of mapped out.
Oh, thank you. I feel so accomplished right now.
It can be a real freaking challenge when you have like
if you have a lot to
two
say,
characters not known. I'm thinking like geographically, like you've got two characters talking, and okay, so this character talks first, and this character, and how do you freaking order the panels when you've got like one character on this side of the panel and that character on that side of the panel? Then the speech bubbles like, okay, so you talk, then you respond, then you respond to that, then you respond to that, and it can be tricky to organize those panels. And if there's three people, oh my,
it gets very
trials.
The way I tackled this is that I make you use the establishing shots in the sense that, okay, I have this big panel where I show everyone in the same panel, everyone who is participating in this discussion. And then I have a cunning plan to just have no more than two people in every panel, but that are talking. There may be a silent person, a third silent person in that panel, but they will not be talking in that panel. They are probably going to speak up in the very next one, or something like that. That gives the impression that everyone is talking at the same time, but you can manage it a little better.
You rationalize.
It's not too much in one panel for the reader. Sometimes we'll have three people talking, but generally, it'll be two at most in one panel. And I don't remember what the number is. Is it 3 speech bubbles or 4 speech bubbles or less in each panel? I might have read that somewhere.
I don't remember.
I try to minimize that. Just my personal taste, but I'm trying to keep that to a minimum and keep the words to a minimum.
Honestly, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say I've done a few of the ones that Baines has written up for Bottomless Waitress, and I've had to interpret them.
When I'm not drawing the page, it's different. You have probably 6 or 7 people talking in one panel.
Well, I've had a few challenges, and it's been interesting to work around them. That's what I really love about Bottomless Waitress, because there's a challenge, and I'm not writing it, so that means I don't get to go, okay, no, I'm going to do it this way instead. I have to interpret it in a way that fits the text, which is good to have that restriction on me, and I come up with creative solutions.
Definitely do. Do a new page this year.
One panel. Yes, write it, you bastard! Come on.
Especially when you have talking heads, and I remember, when I was reading up on tutorials about webcomics and stuff, like the talking heads page was the hell of webcomics. Like if you do that, it's going to fail. Like never have talking heads. And there is a reason, because if you have just like a panel, like a news panel, bust of one guy talking and then the other guy talking, better just throw the script on the page and be done with it. However, talking head pages are excellent for characterization because you can show your character's emote, react to what the other one is saying, how they are in the room, their body language, what they are saying, how they deliver it. And it is your excellent moment of doing more characterization while you are also basically having them discuss something. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of value to be had, and I realized that when I stopped cramming frames into one page.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to show expressions.
Mhm.
Just do a close up of that damn face. That's all you need to do. You don't have to have. Okay, so another rookie mistake I'm thinking of is what are the expanded stories? Like when you think you have to show everything in order to show what's happening in the story. Like, yeah, we have to show this person getting up in the morning, getting ready, having their food, and then driving to work. And,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, if you're too, I mean, that's an extreme example, but
Yeah.
if you're too expanded, like, oh, we have to show the characters meeting up until they go on the quest, and you don't. You can cut a lot of stuff out.
That's in
you
books
really-
as well, like in prose and everything. That's like maybe the number one piece of advice that
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
and the easiest trap to fall into, because you want, as a newbie, you want to set up things like.
And you also want to show your work in the sense that I read it, I started this thing. Now you are going to see it.
It was definitely my
Look,
tendency early, and that was like a big part of my pre-analysis before I started posting. Any series I started, I gave a lot of thought for a long time to how to start, because I wanted to avoid that. I wanted to jump into the thick of it on page one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like for Without Moonlight, there's so much stuff that I had to leave out. So much stuff. It almost makes you cry a little bit. So many little snippets and little episodes that would be fun, like in their own way. And I'm going to satisfy this need of mine in my Patreon by having all these small little snippets that I never could include, and now I'm going to make them as extras. But yeah, for the story, you need to take the gist and be very cruel to yourself by just leaving out a lot of stuff that you like for the good of the story. Um, and that was hurtful to me a lot.
Yeah, there's the cutting, and then there's the like the bravery and the I don't know if intelligence is the right word, but you've got to be able to cut things out and still have the story making sense.
Yeah.
And that's quite tricky in
Mhm.
order to jump us from this scene to that scene.
Yeah.
And then this scene to this scene.
And that's another one, I think,
without
that's
all
just,
the transitions.
yeah,
Go on.
it's just forever. It's not just a rookie thing. It is that. It just goes on forever, that challenge. It's just, you
Yeah.
always have to deal with that.
And if you need to info dump, because sometimes you do need to, there is no way to do. You need just give a chunk of information to your audience so that they can understand the story. So if you have to do this, make it organic. Put your characters in a situation where they need to talk about it, so that your audience can learn without it feeling, like a lesson or like a debriefing. We stop the story now so that you can learn that this is how this thing works, that sort of thing. So, like for example, I had to show why Arthur flips sides, and this is not a spoiler anymore. It's been out for a while. So Arthur is our Nazi that flips sides And there is he has such a rich background that I have just scratched the surface of who he is and why he is the way he is. And I had to put in the reasoning why he decides to basically completely give up on a career that in 1942 felt like a very viable career because everything felt like the Axis is unstoppable, and if you side with the Axis, you have it made, and he is an up and coming star in the Axis. So why does he give all of this up? It had to be shown. So I had to give him a reason to go into that even a little bit.
Yeah.
And it couldn't happen until very late in the story.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, so you have to search flashbacks.
yeah, you have to foreshadow it. I mean, he has a lot of foreshadowing in this, even from chapter 2, where he has an incident with his friend Raban and stuff. But you never get to see it until chapter 8, basically. And when he says it, I make sure that the page is visually very interesting, and or at least I hope it is very interesting and engaging, and completely breaks from the normal format, so that even though it is an info dump, it is interesting and you want to look at the page enough to
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It does work. It certainly works for that character.
Mm.
It doesn't take you out of the story.
Yeah.
So, yes, you have to be careful in the way you transition to different kind of things, and don't be too caught up with making everything fit in. A 24-hour sort of thing, like I'm thinking that series with Kiefer Sutherland, you don't have to show all the stuff.
Oh my God, yes, don't, please.
Unless it's that kind of comic.
Yeah.
It's not. It's very rarely, because that is only would be a very rare sort of comic.
Yeah. And like, for example, and I have to say this because someone needs to hear it. There is this huge incident that happens in Arthur's life that I had literally no opportunity to show, or that is very transformative for Arthur. And it happens like he used to really like jazz as a young man. He was one of those jazz kids, and he thought that he could do it on the side and still be like this Uberman's sort of poster child for Nazis and stuff. And this gets snuffed out of him in a very specific way. And I cannot show it, not yet. It will have to wait until volume 2 that we get to see it, what happened and why. I can't show it. It would stop this. It had nowhere, organically, it could fit nowhere in the story. Never, nowhere.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there you go. So you're not a rookie, so you won't rush to hammer it in.
Not that kind of rookie, at least.
We did talk about the idea of okay, so when we're talking about rookie, we don't mean a non-professional webcomic maker versus professional, which so we did talk about that in the video thing. So a professional webcomicer would be someone who makes money off the webcomic. That's how I define it. That's what professional means. It's your profession. So this is something you do in order to produce a piece of work. You're producing the thing and you're getting money for it in whatever way, but enough money to make it worthwhile. So your comic becomes a product that you produce just for that money. That's what professional means. Whereas, say, I would class myself as an amateur, and not the common meaning of amateur, which means, someone's just beginner, which is not what actually amateur means at all. So amateur means that you don't do it professionally. So you do this work for whatever reason, for love, like
Or
that's
as a hobby in
way
general.
I do it. Yeah, as a hobby, for love or whatever. But you can become super like expert at what you do, like amazingly more expert than any professional will ever have the time or money or ability to get to, because that's not their focus.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing is, you're not having to produce it like as a product. You're not having to produce it regularly to put it out there in order to make money off it. You don't have to have those same compromises that a professional has to do for time. Because as a professional doing something, you can't spend forever working on this thing. You can't go and like absolutely research everything and do all this like creative, artistic kind of stuff. You just don't have the time or ability to do that. You have to do something that fits into this very simplified kind of working method in order to be able to produce something on time for what people want. So yeah, when we're talking about like rookies, we don't mean someone who's not professional. We mean someone who's a beginner.
Yeah.
And they can be a beginner professional, they can be a beginner amateur, whatever they are, a beginner. So I just thought it's important to get that out there.
Yeah.
Defining terms.
Yeah.
Define your terms.
Yeah.
You rookie.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and all of us make rookie mistakes. Even like professionals, especially, will make rookie mistakes, because if you are producing something as for a job, like to make money out of it, you'll spend too long on a page. You'll spend way too long doing it, like maybe like hours and hours or days or something like this, and you don't have time for anything else. And that means the page costs too much to produce. Because it's not worth producing a page for like, I don't know, maybe you're earning like, I don't know, like maybe $20 for this page. Maybe it's earning you $100. Well, then it is worth taking a bit longer. But say if it's only earning like $20 or $5, then it just doesn't make sense to spend like 40 hours or something on this damn page.
Yeah, you got to crank them out.
That's
thing, yeah. I mean, that does definitely, it's a huge explanation to what I've noticed in recent years. The few times, or multiple times really, that I've picked up a comic in a comic book store or something and thought like, wow, there's so much stuff on the Duck that's so much better than this.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But your explanation...
And I'll be honest, I mean, excluding graphic novels that basically are books, just in comic form, but they are books. Excluding graphic novels, I get my comic fix from the web comics, and I feel that I get a lot more quality from web comics.
Yeah.
Than I would from a regular, like a periodical print comic at this point. I mean, the way that things are done. Yeah.
Well, yeah, people have a lot more passion in web comics, and they don't have to go through editors, and they don't have to stick to schedules and things like that. So you're going to get a richer piece of work generally than you are in a printed thing. But okay, so I'm thinking about some more rookie mistakes that I made. When I began, I thought I didn't have to worry about ratings. So I thought I don't have to worry about like drawing for a specific audience. I can make my stuff as raunchy and sweary, and I've talked about this before. Like I'm swearing, I'm sex, whatever, because it's part of the richness and the panoply of life. So if the character wants to do this, if I want to show the character this, then I should do it. But that's a rookie mistake, because a lot of us think we can do that, but you do have an audience that you're doing it for, and you're going to minimize your audience right down if you do something that's too adult, because you just can't show it anywhere.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah, and I mean, also, it's like people are looking for what they're looking for. So we, even if we're not in a professional world of
Mm-hmm.
marketers and sort of finding a demographic using professionals or whatever, these analysts or whatever, you're still, it serves you to think about who's this for, and how do I help the people who will like this to find this. Not that I've done this personally, I don't know how to do that, but to sort of present, I guess, presenting your stories. How do I say this? Like kind of putting it out there in your blurb or in your thumbnail or in your whatever, like sort of showing what it is. So people who like what it is will be able to find it and know it.
Oh,
And
that's
that goes
really
into
hard.
ratings as well.
Yeah.
That stuff. Oh my god, that's the hardest part.
Yeah, that's not a
Selling your
rookie
work.
thing. That's like getting more in depth, probably.
Yeah.
Well, I think the rookie thing is not knowing how to do that at all and doing it really badly.
Yeah, like maybe trying to shock people, which can work, but it also just, it's so risky of just turning off people. Like people who thought they knew what you were doing, but now will be turned off. And
Yeah.
people who would have liked what you ended up doing weren't reading in the first place because you were presenting something different.
Yeah.
Well, I think of that as like the pros who do pro comics, and they get someone else to do the cover. And I always think that's shit in professional comics because you're expecting what's on the cover, and that's not in the comic.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Covers. Yeah.
But yeah, like a rookie mistake for webcomic would be to do that, to get someone else to do the cover, and then promote yourself with that.
Yeah. If you have this amazing cover, it might get you some eyeballs, but then people will look inside, and maybe it works. But if assuming the cover is way better, it'll just be.
Yeah, it's best to have your own work on the cover so that if someone clicks on it, they are not going to be shocked into a different thing. And that's not only in the sense of a worst shock, but also like if you're, I don't know who would do that, but assuming that you have a cover that is mediocre and then you get slapped with a photorealistic work inside, that still is a shock, and it might turn off some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit of a reversal of the trend, but
yeah. I don't know. I mean, but usually it's the other way around, and again, it is a turn off. It's best, to show what there is on the tin.
Yeah.
And we don't mean like, oh, okay, so you're doing a cover and it's all nice and coloured, but your comic's all black and white.
No.
That's fine. That's an old kind of trick.
Mm-hmm.
Manga does it. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lineup has to be the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. If it's done by someone else in a different style, then do that for chapters. Just don't do that for your main cover that you promote your comic with.
Yeah.
Right. We were also going to talk about before we run out of time here, analyzing too much before you start.
Ooh,
that can be the rookie mistake that stops you from ever starting and getting past the rookie stage. And I definitely have been there. I'm still there with new series I want to do that I've been pondering for literally years. And I think some planning ahead is good. I'm in favor of planning ahead at least a good chunk of where your story's going, or multiple ideas. If it's an ongoing kind of standalone set of chapters, maybe you think through your characters or think through where you kind of want it to end up. But at a certain point, you have to jump in and get started, and that's when you start improving.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my god. Yeah, let's extend this a bit because I want to get deep, a little, not too far deeper into it, but more than 2 minutes we've got left for this.
Okay.
Well, plus them. Plus it.
Plus them. Exactly. I've definitely noticed this trait. I mean, I did when I was still on Facebook back in the day. It's only been like over a year now, but I used to be a member of these webcomic groups, and yeah, you'd get these webtooners especially, who would go, oh yeah, I've been planning this for the last 6 months or a year or 3 years. I've been planning this for 3 years and this is my thing. I've never done a comic before, but I'm planning to do it and show this on Webtoons and Webtoon. How many subscribers do you think I'll get? And like, this is my strategy for promoting this character and this character. And yeah, this is going to be my multimedia strategy and blah, blah, blah. And I just think, oh, you are so full of crap. Just do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Do the old Shia LaBeouf thing. Do it.
And the thing is, you know what? If you start designing something by thinking, oh, how many subscribers will I get, or how many people will follow, then that is a recipe for disaster. Because if you are good, it's going to be cookie cutter, and when the fad of whatever is in fashion right now, and people are flocking to stops, then your comic is also going to stop. And if you are not good, nobody will care, because they will have better options to read the same thing. So that is definitely not the way to go in webcomics. Do something that is your passion, and accept that you will be a niche that has potential maybe to become a fad, but you are going to be catering to like-minded people. So
yeah, exactly. But that's always been a thing that I've noticed. These people that want to make money out of the webcomics, which it's a fine objective to have, but they think that webcomics are just an automatic way of making money from stuff online, and that just bemuses me so much. It's like, yeah, sure, there were some really successful webcomickers who are making money. Don't think for an instant you could just jump straight into that. That's not easy stuff. That's freaking hard to do. That's hard work.
And you probably need to be, part of the community. You also need to be lucky. I'll have to just say that you have to have some kind of luck, because your comic might hit all the check all the boxes for something that could be viral or go be very popular, and just not be popular because people don't find it very easily, or because there is something else that is the big thing that is being promoted on whatever site you have, because now we also have the aggregate sites that promote what they want to promote. So you might be buried under layers and layers of other things that may not be as good as you, objectively speaking, not just because, you could also be thinking that they are not as good as you and you might be delusional. But I'm taking it at face value that you have a comic that is a lot better than what is getting all the views. And you cannot understand why. And the why is timing, or someone is being promoted on that particular platform.
Right place, right time.
Yeah. The and the promoting in the platform is a very real thing. So you have to be in it for the thing, and then work to get extras like followers or an income and stuff like that. But you have to be in it for the thing itself.
Yeah, exactly. You have to enjoy what you're doing. You have to be invested in it. Well, okay, so another really big rookie mistake is not realizing that you can fail, or not having failure as part of what you're doing. So if you're thinking everything's going to be perfect, everything's going to work, it's going to get the readers, it's going to get subscribers, it's going to get this, it's going to get that, you shouldn't be thinking in those terms. I think you've got to sort of think in a way that has failure as part of what you're doing. So it's okay for things not to work out. Because if you can't accept that things don't work out, then you're most likely going to give up after the first couple of pages when they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to have that. You have to have, when you're starting the comic, you have to think, okay, it's fine if I don't have any readers for the first 5 pages, first 10 pages. Like, if I don't get any comments, or if I don't get any subscribers, or any other metric of success. It's fine if that doesn't happen, and it's fine if I miss an update. It doesn't mean I have to give up. You've got to have failure built in as part of the recipe, I think.
Yeah. Or, you
It's
know
not
what?
an alien thing.
It's not failure. You're not going to be discovered the moment you upload your cover or your first chapter or whatever. You will be discovered unless you have this huge machine promoting you and sending traffic your way. You are going to be eventually discovered after you are like 20 pages in, 25, 50 pages in, 100 pages in. You don't know when you will be discovered. So you'd better be in it for yourself, among others.
Yeah. Or you'll just hit a
some
wall, right? I
resilience
mean,
there.
Mhm.
I know I'm happy with the fact that I worked on my characters a lot. I worked on kind of what my series was going to be quite a bit before I started posting. I was very nervous to start posting, but by the time I did, I wanted comments, but I didn't get them for a long time, and it was okay. I was excited about what I was doing, and you just like get excited about
Mhm.
the stories you're doing and the pages you're doing.
Yeah.
Like be concerned with getting that how you
I
want it.
remember,
Whatever. Yeah.
honestly, I remember when I first started uploading Wolf, which, like I said, I have a fond embarrassment of it because it was basically how I learned to do webcomics. Nobody taught me. And the first half, at least, is full of mistakes. It is, but you can see that it is a work of love and stuff. When I started uploading, I had no comments, like no comments, and I really wanted comments. So I remember myself just asking Oz, could you look at this and tell me what to do? Yeah, I don't know if you remember that. And I said, like, please, like, tell me what you think. I was so desperate for comments at the time that I was willing to take the L, like to have a comment, even if it was tearing it apart, the comment. But of course, Oz is a kind guy, and he
Yeah.
didn't tear it apart. He just gave me some pointers, and then I think I remember. I think it was Jinjok that was the second comment, or either Jinjok or Gun Wallace. One of the two. I think it was Jinjok
Cool.
who said, you know what? Fix the lettering, make the page size consistent, and you might have a hit. And I still remember that.
Oh, okay.
I still remember
It's probably
Sounds like
Ginger.
Joke maybe, yeah.
yeah. And I said, oh my God, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And then I continued, and I got no comments for like 10 pages, 15 pages. And then I started getting comments, and I got really thoughtful ones, to the point that Wolf was the comic that had 20 word, 50 word comments.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, hearing you say that is taking me back in my memory. I think I was pretty desperate for comments as well, as much as I say I was excited about the story. I was really hoping I would get likes and comments, and eventually, when someone, I think it was Ghost Runner. Ghost was his name. Ghost Runner on the Duck.
Yeah.
Was the first one, and he would comment. At a certain point, he started commenting, and I was just over the moon to be getting comments, and then a few more bit by bit, and that's great.
Playmar on board.
Yeah.
All the names. Is good. Okay, another comic rookie mistake is thinking that your comic is going to be made big through the internal promotion system of whatever comic hosting site you're on. or just discovered on Google if you're not with a hosting site. If you are leaving it up to that, like if you're on Webtoons and you're expecting that system, Comic Fury or the Duck, wherever, and you expect your views all to come from the people who come to that particular comic site and through the mechanisms of that comic site, whether it's promoting on the front page or through, some random links that pop up. Like, there's no way to get big or to become a big success if that's what you want to be, just through being randomly discovered on Google or just through the internal promotion system on a comic site. If you want that, you have to look externally, like promoting on social media and having really active profiles, not just saying, oh, I've got a new page up. There has to be like proper active accounts on social media that are interesting. Or it has to be through like doing deals with other artists and all that kind of stuff, or paid advertising.
Or fan art.
That's the way.
Other artists.
Yeah, fan art.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think participating,
you have to do that
in the
networking.
Drunkduck Awards for me was what got me a few more commenters, a few more regular readers.
Absolutely.
And years later,
And that was also how I discovered some comics that I wouldn't have actually discovered, and I'm now a regular reader. So yeah, absolutely participate in the awards. It doesn't really matter if you win. And I'm saying that because I have been on both sides of the pond. I have had many, many years in the awards where I ran. I even got nominated, or I didn't get nominated at all, or I got nominated and won nothing. And then I have also been, thankfully, these last few years where I have been nominated and won a lot of awards. Both occurrences got me eyes on my comic, and that's really the win of it.
Yeah. Like, so, Leah, like you're saying with the awards, that's the purpose of any awards show, like even in the wider world, like the Oscars or something like that, isn't to show how great someone is and reward them. The purpose of an award show is promotion, because they're industry events and they're meant to get eyes on your work, and that's the thing. Like, if an actor gets an award, that means then they can get a higher price next time they're booked for a movie, or it helps them promote whatever movie they're in because they're very visible because they've got an Oscar or the Golden Globe. And for like our comic awards on the Dark, of course, if you win an award, if you're nominated, you're going to get more eyes on you. But equally, if you're helping out and doing these for consideration pages or just like award pages for people, then people are going to see your art and they're going to be curious and want to check on it. So it's just about networking and getting.
And also,
I don't think getting nominated or winning did as much for me as participating, doing presentation pages, and participating as a judge. Like that's what got people to sort of maybe especially the presentations. I'm not really sure, but they would see you do a presentation page that kind of shows how you do a comic, and people might like it and follow you back to your comic.
Yeah, same. I have always been a judge, always. Well, not always, but most of the years I have been a judge. And first of all, it's fun because you get to talk with other judges, and it's always fun, at least for me. And you definitely get to know comics that you wouldn't normally read yourself. So you become a reader to other comics, but also you get known in the community. And that is, again, a win for you in terms of getting your comic out there.
Yeah, it's important. And the more you get known by the community, the more connections you make, then people get jobs in comics outside the community, but they still remember your work and they'll bring people in from outside. This happens. A rookie mistake about going to university in order to study in whatever field you're interested in, like graphic design or movie making or whatever, one of the rookie mistakes there is thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to get this degree and that's going to give me the thing. That's the thing. Like, it's the degree, that's what matters. And it's not. See, when you go to these big learning institutions, like if, you've got these jobs that are part of a big wider field and it's not just academic, then what you really want from them is connections.
Exactly.
The more connections you make, that helps you in the field. The degree is only a little tiny starting point. It's the connections that make it.
And I have myself an example for this. Like I almost, and I didn't just get my foot in the door. I got myself in through the door in getting a really big deal in a national channel over here for a series for me as a scriptwriter for a TV series for a historical movie. Or not movie, a serial.
Series.
Yeah. And I didn't get it in the end, but you know why? Not because someone else had a better script than me. My script won everywhere. So it was the best. However, the other guy had better connections. He knew the president of the particular national channel, so he got the job.
Oh, God,
Although
yeah.
his script is crap, basically, and they are going to get a crap series that is going to tank, and I am sure of it, not because I have sour grapes, but because objectively it is going to tank. Everyone is expecting it.
Yeah.
So, so what I'm saying is that, yeah, you definitely need connections first, and unfortunately, quality second. It's just the way.
Yep. There's a lot of big name webcomics out there that had their start because, this person talked to that person and they were friends and that person promoted them. Like this big name, like print comic artists and writers that, get where they are because they know people. I mean, is it J.J. Abrams' son is in comics? Something like this.
I
One of
heard
these
something.
big name directors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've never read them, but I've seen them in one of these YouTube channels. This lady who does them, something comics. Lady with the fantastic wigs and the glasses. I can't remember what she calls herself.
Dame Edna.
Oh, R.I.P. Dame Edna.
And there are also so many stories about actors or writers or directors who had when you see them interviewed, like, how did this great success come about? So many of them have stories just like Tanz's, where like, oh, well, I submitted to this, but it didn't go anywhere. Someone else got it. But that so-called failure actually led, through a series of connections and events, led to great things later.
Yeah. And that's another thing.
You never know.
For example, I am not disappointed. I know that eventually I'm going to break into this industry one way or the other when I meet the right person and on my terms, because I don't like to do favors. But eventually I will break into this by meeting the right people at the right time. It might take 20 years. It's all right.
You just never know.
Yeah.
So this person I was trying to remember, Casually Comics, that's what she is. So look at her videos. They're fantastic. I love them. So she did, I think, reviews of J.J. Abrams' Spider-Man, or J.J. Abrams' son doing Spider-Man, whatever. And it's really crap and not very a good
Yeah,
story.
but he knows the right
It's
people.
very cliche. Yeah, knows the right people, so gets the foot in the door automatically. Will Smith, I think his son is, in movies, and he's like terrible actor.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he definitely got the role because of his dad. But I will have to say this about his son. A lot of the crap acting that he does is not his fault. It's the director's fault. I don't know why they do not direct this kid into giving the performance that he should give. Because, for example, if you look at him in Karate Kid, he acted well. He carried the part as he should carry the part. But they had a better director. I don't know what is happening. That a lot of actors, I think, are undermined by crappy directing.
For sure.
So,
Definitely.
Yeah, that can happen. Definitely, I've seen that.
but yeah, he did get the part because he's Will Smith's son. So.
Yeah, that's a sort of hyper exaggerated version of what happens to just anyone, though. Like people who have connections, or they meet someone, or someone who reads their script, for example. Even if it didn't go the distance, that leads to something else. That leads to something else. You don't need, you don't have to have J.J. Abrams as a father or Will Smith as a father to make this happen. In fact, that might be a shortcut that doesn't work for most people.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, I mean, examples of connections.
Just look at the Squid Game. He didn't have the right connections until he did. Took him 10 years or I don't know how much. The scriptwriter, I mean. But then he had his show and it was very successful.
Funny, originally with that story that Tans told, I thought
worldwide.
The guy who wrote Garbage got the gig, and to me that was the takeaway. Like, oh, even though I make garbage, it can still do well.
Yeah,
that wasn't
absolutely. Absolutely, you can make.
Well, yeah, that's a rookie mistake. The rookie mistake is thinking that your thing has to be perfect in order to do well. No, there are different routes to success.
And it really depends on what you want, which is it runs back to what we said, in the sense that be in it for what you want to be. Like be sincere in what you want to do. If you want to make it big, you need to focus on maybe different things than your art. Yeah, I don't know. I'm being cynical, okay, but yeah.
All right. All right. Well, let's wrap it up now.
Note,
before we let the cynicism take control.
Yeah.
Do what you do because it's what you like doing, and don't be. And if you do want to do a webcomic, just get in there and sort it out as you go, because the first thing that you do should not have to be perfect. So factor mistakes into it. Be willing to make mistakes. Just that's how you should go and sort of build long. I mean, I'm not saying that if this is your magnum opus, you'll be planning it for years. You should just start and mess it up straight away. Just pick a smaller thing to start.
Or you know what? Start it.
Do a short story.
Start it and you can do over. That. We know for a fact that you can do over. Like, for example, Sarah N did 3, 4, 5 do-overs before she created Daniel, which is one of the best vampire comics I have read personally.
Awesome.
Took her 5 starts to do it.
Yep. Don't be afraid to fail. Charby the Vampire is one of the biggest comics on Dark that's ever been. But that didn't start off the way it did now. I mean, it's the beginnings of that webcomic. That's that had a rocky route to success. So, and she worked at it until she she honed her style and skill and stuff like that and made it big. So there you go. Well, thank you very much for listening to Quackcast number 638. We'll be back with 639 next week. Damn. Let the cat out of the bag.
Who could have foreseen that?
All right.
I know.
But no one. Absolutely no one.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.